Hi, welcome. It's time for part 3 of my campaign update and state of my campaign, State of the Union, I guess, really, part of my update for this weekend. And, yeah, so this is part 3. Yeah. I am Susan Maud Buchser-Lochocki, also known as Susan Buchser for short. And as I said in the other videos, I'm a presidential candidate, but I'm also, so past and present and future. And then I'm also a candidate for the House of Delegates here in West Virginia from the 77th District. And I'm going over what canvassing means from all the different lobbyists out there. And political parties are lobbyists, truthfully, and they certainly don't own our country. And just because they're in office now doesn't mean they'll be there in the next day, So, but the Democrats and Republicans certainly feel like they own our country right now. And this is where we have to help them understand that they do not own our country. I think that's still bright enough, or is it better? I guess it's better like that. Okay, so I got a American Legion USA 250 year, I guess that's what they're meaning, survey. And again, it's canvassing. And I do like the American Legion, and I buy their flags because they do good things. We have, people coming back from being overseas in military events and wars and actions, and they need help recovering from what they experienced. And the Legion helps them. So I do like them. I was surprised to get this. But let me read through it, and maybe you and I together will have a better understanding. So, Susan, please answer each question by filling in the circles of your choice. If no opinion, please leave blank. So, number 1. Which of the freedoms do you most fear could be lost? And what to see protected for your children and grandchildren? Sorry, my English. And want to see protected for your children and grandchildren. So the choices are freedom of speech, right to assemble and petition, protection of states and individual rights, freedom of religion, right to a fair trial, freedom of the press, right to privacy and security. And then there's an other. So, which of these freedoms do you most fear could be lost? So they're focusing on fear. And, that's just, it's time to stop that. Why don't we talk about what freedoms we like the most? And what ones will we want to hand over as a legacy to our children? And so, definitely freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and petition your government. Of course, individual rights, that comes with protection of state and individual rights. I'm not sure why they're combining those two. Individual rights for sure. The states their rights are less important than the individual. Again, it doesn't say at the start of our U.S. Constitution, it doesn't say we the 50 states. It says we the people. So, people, individual rights come first, not the states. Then, of course, to a fair trial, if you happen to have to be in a trial. And freedom of the press, well, the press is just lying so much anymore. It really doesn't matter if they've got freedom or not. They're telling lies, so there's no point in paying attention to the press anyways. The right to privacy and security. Yes, I think that's also part of it. So, basically the Bill of Rights. And it's also written into the Constitution in different places too. But yes, all of the individual rights are absolutely critical. Absolutely critical. I don't feel that the states needs all their rights. But maybe there might be a different time when I feel differently about that. So now, question number 2 is, I guess, yeah, no, that's good. Then passing on the values of freedom and service to America's youth is essential to keeping America strong. Absolutely. That's why I want to have, part of my education plan is when the kids are like 12 years old, I want to pull them out of sort of traditional education and give them a year of learning about their town and their county and going on field trips there and seeing different things and meeting the mayor and the county commission. I now understand that the county commission is the one with all the power. Mayors are more a figurehead and not really too powerful. And then it would also be nice to meet your legislature, if that does exist by the time my education plan comes into effect. Then I would like to, let's see. Freedom, values of freedom. Yes. Well, so there's that year plus, so learning about their local government and their state government to an extent. And then when they're 18, I want them to learn about the Constitution and go to Washington and have a Washington experience where they meet the president and they meet their representatives and things like that too. So absolutely, freedom, knowledge of government, and when they turn 17, they spend a year learning about the Constitution and their rights and how to write a lawsuit and how to do things to petition your government for grievances. So this is all in my plan about creating better U.S. citizens. So yeah, absolutely. I strongly agree that we need to pass on the knowledge of freedoms to our children. Then the American Legion dedication to voter education and civic responsibility strengthens the rights of citizens to petition and hold their leaders accountable. Yes, good. I think this is very important. And again, it'll be taught in the school program that I have, where kids will learn how to exactly do that, how to have a voice in government at any age. And this is something that, clearly the Democrats and Republicans don't want that because they never put that into the program of education in the United States. So they don't want you to know how to do any of that. And therefore they can collect a paycheck and do what they want with the country. And this is why we're having problems now. So this is unacceptable. Runaway government and runaway spending by the government, and it's got to stop. So yes, education about all sorts of government issues needs to be done with the youth. So then, number 4, do you believe the following statement by George Washington is relevant today? The willingness with which our young people are likely to serve in any war, no matter how justified, shall be directly proportional as to how they perceive veterans of earlier wars were treated and appreciated by this country. And I'm going to say yes, that's probably true. A country that looks after its war heroes and respects its warriors definitely will have warriors in the future. But I want to point out that this is probably why we're having so much difficulty with the birth rate right now, because we have totally destroyed the family and the mother-child bond in this country. And it's so sad. So, yes, nobody, growing up really wants to be a mother because it just leads to poverty and harassment. So, so I think we need to focus on mothers and families and mother-child bonding and the whole experience and start respecting motherhood like it should be respected. Mothers bring the next generation into the world. And right now, there's no program for it. So we have NSA, CIA, FBI, then we have U.S. Marshals, we have Secret Service, we have Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, we have police and sheriff, and we have Homeland Security now, and we also have Border Patrols, and we have Coast Guard. So the real thing is, what do we have for mothers? Yeah, right. So there we go. Point your fingers back at yourself. So we need to have a little less military and a little more mothering. That's what we got to do, folks. So, when we look at how mothers are treated in the past, it's no wonder women don't want to be mothers. Think about it. So we need to start up also like a American Legion, like a Mother Legion, and get these things moving forward, Being a human producer is an extremely extraordinary job, and it needs respect. It's enough. Where should the American Legion focus more effort to help veterans and their families? And I say mental health. Yes. Because, you go abroad and you have experiences and then you come back and you try to fit in, but you're not the same person. And depending on the severity of your experience, you really might not be the same person. So we need to take care when we do send people into battle anywhere. And we need to really focus on mental health. But advocate for better veterans health care. Yeah, well, in my plan, actually, I want to expand veterans health care and health care in general on military bases in the United States. Plus, I want to bring women in and start a whole care unit. So we will have a lot of care going on in the military, in the National Guard. And pretty much everybody, no matter what job you've got, you're going to be in the National Guard and in the national care. There's going to be a choice You can be in one or the other, and you can switch to at some point if you want. You don't have to stay in the one. But mental health is a huge problem in our country, and it's because we've created a country that has way too less opportunities and a lot of stress. And this has to stop. But, this is what happens when you only have men running a country. So, us women, we're not at fault. You've never given us the keys to run the country, and you've focused on military activities and turned us into a military industrial complex. And that has to stop. That has to stop. So we need a woman's touch. We need a nurturing, caring, friendly, loving, supportive environment for our people. And it's so sad what has been done to our people here. It just breaks my heart, and that's why I'm running for office. So, build more houses for homeless veterans, absolutely. We need that for everybody, of course. Advocate for stronger community mental health programs, definitely. Provide more scholarships to children of fallen heroes. I don't know how many there are out there, but, maybe we just need to change our education system a bit, which is also in my plan, apprenticeships for all. And then people can move forward from there. Improve living conditions for active duty military. I'd like active duty military to be more national rather than international. And so, yes, I'm for better living conditions. I'm for better all sorts of conditions for our military. And eventually it's going to be also national care. So for our mothers and our healthcare system. So yes, 100%. Improve conditions. A higher standard. Host more career fairs and transition programs. Provide more civic education for our country's youth. Yes, so those two are absolutely part of my plan, as I described. So, yes to all of that. Then, your support helps protect veterans, promote patriotism, and pass on these cherished freedoms to future generations. That's what it says at the top here. Then, number 6 is a weak national defense could leave America's freedoms vulnerable to threats from abroad. Well, a weak national defense could leave America's freedoms vulnerable to threats from abroad. But we're not going to go from the most powerful to weak in a short period of time. So there's this happy in between where we match what other people have and we share the load. Rather than seeing everybody else as competition, we need to see them as part of the solution, as a team of 6 or 7 that are regional heads working on keeping the peace in the world. And then we need to focus on our citizens, on our country, on our infrastructure, on our children, and raise the standard of living. I mean, it's just appalling what goes on here. But yeah, so a weak national defense, no, we'll never be a weak national defense, but we'll be a normal national defense. That's our goal. Normal. We should not be the police of the world. If citizens don't take personal responsibility, the freedoms secured in the Bill of Rights could disappear for our children and grandchildren. Okay, again, they're focusing on fear tactics. And so apathy is not good. And that's what we have currently. And we don't have a lot of our rights being honored right now. I mean, my voice is silenced everywhere. I voted, and my state and my county threw out my vote. They just thought, oh, she doesn't want to vote, and they threw it out. So my rights are absolutely being stepped all over. Absolutely. So, even when you fight, they get that way for some reason. It should not be. We're on the same team. And my right to vote and have it counted is the same as your right to vote and have it counted. So, even when we are present and working on the problem, we get trampled on. And nobody does anything. I have a lawsuit still pending with the Supreme Court. I'm still waiting for them to honor it. I have people in power in Charleston, in West Virginia, who know the problems. They saw my first lawsuit, and yet they did nothing to change it. Nothing. They know it's wrong. Not only did they not do it, they eventually worked a way to get to shut down the lawsuit, and then they knew the issues, they knew the problems. There's been investigations going on. They could bring the solutions themselves, but they don't. And this is sad. So we've got people, representatives in power, who know the corruption's going on, and they look the other way. They're looking the other way. I'm going to repeat it one more time. They're looking the other way. They're not doing anything about it. I have a second lawsuit with the Supreme Court. And again, they're looking the other way. They're letting it go on. And this is just unbelievable for me. So even when you're fighting, you don't get your rights sometimes. So we don't have rights actually to hand on to our children currently in this country. So you think you have rights, but you don't. Just try to defend them once, and you'll find out. It's darn near impossible. So, nobody in power right now, did I put them there? And nobody in power right now who knows the problems from my first lawsuit, they're doing nothing about it. So they're not fighting for you, and they're not fighting for me. They're fighting for how much, I guess, bonus money they can get in their pockets. Or they'll be sure to buy that stock before they give that job offer to that company over there and watch their stock price go up. It's absolutely disgusting what is happening in the United States currently. It is just heartbreaking, and I'm doing my best. So, did you know that without the American Legion's help, over 700,000 veterans could have lost out on over $21 billion of veteran association claims and appeals last year alone, just from last year? Well, that's the great thing. That's what I like about the Legion, is that you help each other. And that's what we need more of. So we need an American Legion probably in every town, and we need to get people involved and working together. Do you believe America's commitment to patriotism and civic duty will weaken if we do not honor the commitments made to our veterans. Um, I think not just veterans, but to anyone, we need honoring our veterans is absolutely a must, but also honoring our mothers is a must, and that hasn't been done pretty much ever. So it is time. We are at a point in our country where we're growing up and we're becoming our own. And it's time to take care of our people, absolutely. I mean, the standard of living is currently so low in the USA, it's shocking. So I would like to see that become higher because our people deserve more. So in general, I mean, I agree with that, but I also think it should be for all, not just veterans, that our commitments are honored. I mean, I would like our commitments honored to all of our citizens. And, I was raised on certain ideas, and so far, they're non existent. Now, number 10, do you feel the American Legion should continue to stand up for American traditions like reciting the Pledge of Allegiance and the national anthem and protecting the American flag? Well, I personally agree. We need to go back to this before we had this urge to put God into everything. That was exactly when the Zionists took over, when Israel was created. So we need to go back to the original Pledge of Allegiance that did not have God in it at all, because we need to separate church from state. And then, but yes, I mean, I think that the American Legion should certainly still encourage those things. I don't think it's just them that does it. I do like the fact that they make American flags, and so I think that's something the Legion should continue to do. It's sort of their niche, I think. Then number 11, without constant vigilance, freedoms like freedom of speech, religious liberty, and the right to assemble could slip away. Again, fear-mongering here. We do have to always watch out for our freedoms. And like I said, we don't have a lot right now. So we are in jeopardy, and I'm working on it. So yes, we need to stay vigilant. If Americans stop supporting organizations like the American Legion, the freedoms our veterans fought for could erode. Again, fear being offered here. Yes, so buy a flag from the American Legion. That's what I would say. And if you choose, you can also give extra money. But I don't think that, donations are 100% necessary. I think that there are different ways that the Legion can get money. So, but I think through their flags is a good way. They're good quality. Okay, so that is my sort of report on the canvassing for the American Legion from this year, going into this election in this year. I think the standard of living of all of our people needs to be raised, not just the veterans. And then we have totally ignored mothers, so we need to change that. So you're going to be hearing a lot about mothers and motherhood and birthing and pregnancy and all of this stuff. It's nicer to talk about those things anyways than war and killing and maiming and bombing and all of that. Isn't it better to say, oh, another baby was born and so on and so forth. So get ready for change of topic. Instead of talking about death, we're going to talk about life. And we're going to talk about growing and becoming responsible citizens, happy and healthy citizens. Okay, so I have one more, but I'm going to stop here. This already went longer than I wanted, but anyways, it's good and interesting to see what each group is sort of focused on. And yeah. So that's the end of part 3. My name is Susan Maud Buchser-Lochocki, or Susan Buchser for short. I have a website. It's susan4usa.com. That's Susan the number 4 usa.com. So have a look, and I wish you peace for now, and I'll see you in the next video.